The ultrasound image trembled in my hands, its grainy black and white shapes holding all my dreams. 2 heartbeats, mine racing, and somewhere in that fuzzy constellation, my baby's steady rhythm. After 3 years of trying, of temperature charts and disappointments, there it was. Life. I want a divorce. Jason's voice cut through my moment like a blade. I looked up from the image, certain I'd misheard. My husband stood by our bedroom window, his back to me, shoulders rigid beneath his expensive suit. What did you say? You heard me, Fiona. He turned, and I saw nothing of the man I'd married in his eyes. I never wanted this. Any of it. The image crumpled slightly in my grip. Any of what? A baby. A family. This whole domestic fantasy you've been chasing. He gestured vaguely at our bedroom, at the home we'd built together. I played along because it made you happy, but I can't do it anymore. My throat closed up. Played along? For 8 years? Look, I've got a chance at partnership. Real partnership, not just senior associate. I can't be tied down with a kid right now. It's not in my plans. I pressed my hand against my still flat stomach. Our child isn't in your plans? Don't make this harder than it needs to be. He loosened his tie, a nervous habit I'd once found endearing. I've already talked to my lawyer. You can keep the house. I'll pay support, whatever's fair. But I'm done playing house. The room spun slightly. I sat on the edge of our bed, the same bed where we'd made this baby, where he'd held me through failed attempts and crushing disappointments. When what? When did you decide our marriage was just playing house? He checked his watch, impatient. Does it matter? The papers will be ready tomorrow. I'm staying at the Marriott until I find a place. Tomorrow? The word came out as a whisper. You've planned this. Of course I planned it. I'm not an idiot. He grabbed a pre-packed suitcase from the closet, one I hadn't even noticed was there. I knew you'd get emotional about this. Emotional. Like my feelings were an inconvenience, a feminine weakness he had to manage. I smoothed out the ultrasound image, trying to focus on that tiny heartbeat. Who is she? His pause told me everything. That's not important. 8 years of marriage, and you can't even give me the truth? Fine. Her name is Lily. She understands my ambitions. She doesn't need this. He waved at me, at my stomach, at our life together. I stood up, surprising myself with how steady my legs felt. Get out. Fiona. Get out. Each word was a bullet. Your lawyer can call mine. But right now, get out of my house. He grabbed his suitcase, pausing at the door. I never meant to hurt you. I laughed, a harsh sound that scared even me. Yes, you did. You meant to hurt me less, maybe. But you knew exactly what you were doing. After he left, I sat in the silence of our bedroom, my bedroom now, and looked at the ultrasound again. My baby. My child. The tears finally came, but with them came something else, steel in my spine, ice in my veins. It's just us now, little one, I whispered to the image. But I promise you this, you will never doubt that you're wanted. You will never wonder if you're enough. And your father? I took a deep breath. Your father will learn that some games have consequences. I placed the ultrasound on my nightstand and picked up my phone. My parents would be my first call. They'd always warned me about Jason's charm hiding something darker. Then my lawyer. Then my doctor. I had a life to rebuild, and a child to protect. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. My parents' kitchen smelled exactly as it had when I was a child: cinnamon, coffee, and my mother's endless supply of fresh-baked bread. The familiar scent should have been comforting. Instead, it made my throat tight with unshed tears. He did what? My father's coffee cup hit the table hard enough to splash. That spineless little Thomas. My mother's hand covered his, a gentle restraint. She turned to me, her eyes sharp despite her soft voice. When did this happen, sweetheart? Yesterday. I traced the wood grain of their kitchen table, the same one I'd done my homework on decades ago. He had it all planned out. Lawyer, new apartment, everything. And the baby? Mother's grip tightened on father's hand. Doesn't want anything to do with either of us. The words tasted bitter. He's got his career to think about, apparently. Father pushed back from the table, pacing the kitchen like a caged bear. 8 years. 8 years we welcomed that man into our family, and this is how he. Thomas, please. Mother's voice carried that steel I remembered from childhood arguments. This isn't helping. I pulled out the ultrasound image, already creased from constant handling, and placed it on the table. Mother's breath caught. Oh, darling. She moved to my side, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. Your room is exactly as you left it. I can't stay here. The words came out faster than I intended. I mean, I appreciate it, but. Nonsense. Father stopped pacing. The house is too big for just us anyway. And you'll need help with the baby. I need to stand on my own feet. I straightened my spine, meeting their concerned gazes. Jason's offering to let me keep the house. With the divorce settlement and my savings, I can manage the mortgage. The house? Mother's tone sharpened. The house you both chose? Where you plan to raise your family? Darling, every room will remind you of him. She was right, of course. I'd spent the night staring at the ceiling, remembering every moment, every promise, every lie. Then I'll sell it. Start fresh somewhere else. You don't have to decide everything today. Mother squeezed my shoulder. Stay with us for a while. Clear your head. A knock at the front door interrupted my response. Father went to answer it, his footsteps heavy with purpose. Margaret? His voice carried an odd note. You might want to come here. Mother exchanged a look with me before heading to the door. I followed, curious despite myself. Lily Carter stood on our porch, looking nothing like the polished photos I'd found on social media last night. Her mascara was smeared, her designer clothes rumpled. I'm so sorry, she blurted before anyone could speak. I didn't know, I swear I didn't know he was married when we met. He told me you were separated, that the divorce was almost final. How long? The question came out calmer than I felt. She flinched. 6 months. 6 months. While I was tracking ovulation and praying for a miracle, my husband was. I pressed a hand to my stomach, suddenly nauseated. I found out about the baby from his phone. Lily's voice cracked. He left it unlocked, and I saw the messages from his lawyer. About the divorce, about you being pregnant. I couldn't. I had to. You had to what? Mother's voice could have frozen hell. Tell you I'm sorry. And warn you. Lily glanced over her shoulder nervously. He's not just leaving. He's transferring all his assets. Moving them offshore. He's planning to leave me with nothing. The pieces clicked into place. The house offer, the quick divorce. He's running. Father's hand gripped the doorframe. Over my dead body. I studied Lily, young, beautiful, exactly Jason's type. But there was something in her eyes, something familiar. The same betrayal I felt burning in my chest. Thank you, I said quietly. For telling me. She nodded once, then hurried back to her car. We watched her drive away in silence. Well, Mother said finally. I believe I'll make some more coffee. We have planning to do. I followed them back to the kitchen, my mind racing. Jason thought he could discard us like unwanted baggage. He was about to learn how wrong he was. The game wasn't just beginning. It was changing entirely. The box of memories sat on my bedroom floor like a time bomb. 8 years of photographs, letters, and mementos, all lies wrapped in pretty paper. My hands shook as I lifted the lid. My phone buzzed. Another message from Jason's lawyer. I ignored it, just like I'd ignored the last 6. Let them wait. I had more pressing matters to attend to. The first photo showed our wedding day. Jason's perfect smile, my radiant happiness. I remembered the photographer commenting on how photogenic we were, how in love we looked. Now I could see what I'd missed then, the calculated gleam in Jason's eyes, the way his hand gripped my waist like a possession. The doorbell rang. I ignored that too. Deeper in the box, I found the fertility clinic receipts. 3 years of treatments, each one more expensive than the last. Each one paid for from my inheritance. While Jason's salary went to investing in our future. I wondered now what, or who, that future had really included. The doorbell rang again, more insistent this time. Go away. I shouted, knowing they couldn't hear me upstairs. But the ringing continued, followed by heavy knocking. Cursing, I stormed downstairs, ready to tell Jason's lawyer exactly where they could shove their settlement papers. But when I yanked open the door, it wasn't a lawyer standing there. It was Henry Carter. Lily's father. Miss Blake. His police training showed in his stance, in the careful way he assessed me. May I come in? There are things you need to know. I should have said no. Should have shut the door and gone back to my box of lies. Instead, I stepped aside. Henry moved through my house like he was cataloging evidence, his eyes taking in every detail. Lily told me she came to see you. Yesterday. I crossed my arms. She seemed upset. She should be. She's not the first. He turned to face me. There were others before her. Before you, even. The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. What? Jason Blake has a pattern. Henry's voice carried the weight of certainty. He finds women with money or potential. Convinces them to invest in his schemes. Then he disappears with everything. A laugh bubbled up, bitter as poison. Let me guess, offshore accounts? Among other things. Henry pulled out his phone, showing me a series of documents. I'd been tracking him since he started dating Lily. His previous victims never pressed charges, too embarrassed, too afraid of scandal. But you're different. Because I'm pregnant. Because you have proof. He gestured around the house. Financial records. Joint accounts. And most importantly, you have witnesses to his character and behavior. My mind raced. Lily. She's willing to testify. About the affair, about his plans to leave the country. Henry's expression hardened. He's done this to 5 other women, Miss Blake. 5 lives destroyed because no one stopped him. I sank onto the couch, my hand instinctively covering my stomach. Why are you telling me this? Because my daughter made a mistake getting involved with him, but she's trying to make it right. And because you're in a position to end this cycle. He sat across from me. But we need to move fast. Before he transfers everything overseas. Upstairs, my box of memories waited. 8 years of carefully constructed lies, all leading to this moment. What do you need me to do? File charges. Today. My old partner handles financial crimes. He can freeze Jason's accounts before he moves anything else. I thought of the ultrasound picture, of the baby who would never know their father's love. Of the other women who'd trusted Jason, only to be left with nothing. Okay. I stood up, steel replacing the shock in my spine. Let's end this. Henry nodded, already dialing his phone. As he spoke to his former partner, I climbed back upstairs to my box of memories. One by one, I fed the photos into the fireplace, watching Jason's perfect smile turn to ash. The game had changed again. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about justice, not just for me and my baby, but for all the women who'd come before. And this time, Jason wouldn't know what hit him until it was too late. The morning sickness hit just as I was reviewing resumes at my parents' kitchen table. 4 months pregnant, and still no job. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent years building Jason's career, and now I couldn't even land an entry-level position. My phone buzzed. Henry Carter's name flashed on the screen. "They've frozen his accounts," Henry said without preamble. But we were too late for some of it. He'd already moved close to $2 million offshore. The room spun, and not from morning sickness. $2 million. That's impossible. We never had that much. It wasn't just your money. His voice hardened. The other women, the investments he convinced them to make, he's been planning this for years. I gripped the edge of the table. What about the house? Mortgaged to the hilt. He took out 3 equity loans in the past year alone. The perfect house, the perfect life, all built on quicksand. He knew. Even when we were trying for a baby, he knew he was leaving. A knock at the door interrupted Henry's response. My mother answered it, and I heard raised voices in the hallway. "I need to go," I told Henry, ending the call as Jason stormed into the kitchen. "What the hell did you do?" His perfect facade had cracked, showing something ugly underneath. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" My mother appeared behind him, phone in hand. "I'm calling the police." "No." I stood, one hand protectively over my stomach. "Let him speak. I want to hear his explanation." "Explanation?" Jason laughed, a harsh sound. "You froze my accounts. Destroyed years of work. For what? Revenge? Justice." The word tasted sweet. "For every woman you've conned. Every life you've ruined." His expression shifted, becoming the charming mask I'd fallen for years ago. "Sweetheart, you don't understand. Those investments were legitimate. I was building something for us, for our future. Don't." My voice shook. "Don't you dare pretend this was for us. Henry Carter showed me everything." "Henry Carter?" Jason's mask slipped again. "What does Lily's father have to do with this?" "He's a retired detective. Specialized in financial crimes." I watched the color drain from Jason's face. "Did you know that? Did you check before you started dating his daughter?" "You stupid bitch." He stepped toward me, hands clenched. "You have no idea what you've done." My mother moved between us. "Get out of my house. This isn't over." Jason's eyes locked on mine. "You think you're protecting that baby? You've just made sure it'll grow up with nothing. Better nothing than your poison." The words came from somewhere deep inside, somewhere that had been silent too long. Better alone than raised by a liar and a thief. He reached for me, but another voice cut through the tension. "Touch her, and it's assault charges on top of fraud." Henry Carter stood in the doorway, badge in hand. "Your choice, Blake." Jason's arm dropped. He looked between us, calculating odds like he always did. Finally, he stepped back. "You'll regret this," he said softly. "Both of you." After he left, my legs gave out. I sank into a chair, trembling. "Are you all right?" Mother's hand was cool on my forehead. "No." I looked up at Henry. "But I will be." "What happens now?" "Now?" Henry sat across from me. "Now we build a case. Every victim, every fraudulent investment, every false promise. It won't be easy. Some women won't want to come forward. But some will." I thought of Lily, of her smeared mascara and shaking hands. Some of us are tired of being victims. It could take months, Henry warned. Maybe years. I pressed my hand against my growing belly, feeling the flutter of movement. "Then we better get started. This baby deserves to be born into a world where their father can't hurt anyone else. Mother squeezed my shoulder. We'll help. Whatever you need. I nodded, my mind already racing ahead. Jason thought he'd left me with nothing. But he'd given me something invaluable, a purpose. A mission. And I would see it through, not just for my child, but for every woman who'd trusted him and lost everything. The game wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about justice. And justice, I was learning, was a dish best served methodically. The contractions started during a meeting with Henry and the prosecutor. 38 weeks pregnant, and my son chose this moment to make his entrance. Perfect timing, just like his father. We need to get you to the hospital, Henry said, already reaching for his keys. I gripped the edge of the conference table. Not yet. Finish telling me about the offshore accounts. The prosecutor, Sarah Chen, exchanged looks with Henry. The accounts can wait. No. Another contraction hit, stronger this time. Jason's hearing is tomorrow. I need to know everything. You need to have this baby, Henry countered. The hearing will proceed whether you're there or not. A sharp knock interrupted us. The door opened, revealing Lily, her face pale. He's gone. The room went silent. My contraction forgotten, I straightened. What do you mean, gone? Jason. Lily's voice cracked. He emptied our joint accounts this morning. Left a note saying he was sorry, that he never meant to hurt anyone. She laughed bitterly. As if that makes it better. The prosecutor shuffled through her papers. The court order. Doesn't matter. Lily tossed her phone onto the table. He's already out of the country. Dubai, probably. He always talked about Dubai. Another contraction ripped through me, this one bringing me to my knees. Through the haze of pain, I heard voices arguing, phones ringing, plans unraveling. Hospital, I gasped. Now. The next hours blurred together. Contractions, monitors beeping, nurses coming and going. My parents arrived, then Henry, then more lawyers. Through it all, one thought kept circling. Jason had won. Again. Push, the doctor ordered, and I did, channeling all my rage and frustration into bringing my son into the world. At 3:47 a.m., Oliver Thomas Blake announced his arrival with a cry that seemed to shake the walls. They placed him on my chest, this tiny person who'd been my anchor through the storm, and everything else fell away. Hello, little one, I whispered. I've been waiting for you. Hours later, when the room had quieted and my parents had gone home to rest, Henry appeared in the doorway. You should be resting, he said, but his expression told me there was news. Tell me. He sat heavily in the visitor's chair. Interpol flagged his passport in Singapore. He's moving money through shell companies, trying to stay ahead of the freeze orders. I looked down at Oliver, peaceful in his hospital bassinet. He planned this all along. The hearing, the negotiations, it was just buying time. Yes. Henry's voice softened. I'm sorry, Fiona. We thought we had him cornered. Don't apologize. I touched Oliver's tiny hand, marveling at his perfect fingers. We'll find him. It could take years. International cases. Then it takes years. Something shifted inside me, a resolve hardening into certainty. He thinks having a baby means I'll give up, that I'll be too busy with diapers and midnight feedings to pursue him. Won't you be? I met Henry's gaze. Every night when I feed my son, I'll be planning. Every diaper I change will remind me why I'm fighting. And one day, when Oliver's old enough to understand, I'll tell him how his father tried to steal his future, and how we got it back. Henry studied me for a long moment. This isn't just about the money anymore, is it? It never was. I watched Oliver's chest rise and fall with his tiny breaths. It's about justice. For every woman he betrayed, every child he abandoned. He doesn't get to win just because he ran. What do you need from me? Everything you know about international finance law. I smiled, feeling stronger than I had in months. And maybe some coffee. We have work to do. Henry nodded, understanding dawning in his eyes. I'll make some calls. As he left, I lifted Oliver into my arms. Your father thinks he's escaped, little one. But he doesn't understand what he's created. A mother's love isn't just soft and gentle, it's fierce and relentless. And I promise you this, he will answer for what he's done. Not just to me, but to everyone he's hurt. Oliver yawned, oblivious to the weight of the moment. But I felt it, this turning point where grief transformed into purpose. Jason had given me one final gift, a reason to never stop fighting. The game wasn't over. It had barely begun. 20 years vanished in an instant when I saw him across the restaurant. Jason hadn't aged well, his hair had grayed at the temples, and his once athletic frame had softened. But that smile, that practiced charm as he worked the room, hadn't changed at all. Mom? Oliver's voice pulled me back. My son, our son, sat across from me, celebrating his 20th birthday in the same restaurant where Jason had proposed all those years ago. You look like you've seen a ghost. Before I could respond, Jason turned. Our eyes met, and the world stopped spinning. Recognition flickered across his face, followed by something else, calculation. Always calculating. He started walking toward our table. Oliver, I said quietly, whatever happens next, remember that I love you. Mom, what? Well. Jason's voice was exactly as I remembered. Fiona Blake. You look comfortable. I felt Oliver tense beside me. And you look like a man who's been running for 20 years. Jason's smile didn't waver. Is this him? Is this my boy? I'm not your anything. Oliver's voice carried the same steel I'd heard in my own all those years ago. And this is a private dinner. Can't a father want to know his son? Jason pulled up a chair uninvited. We have so much to catch up on. Like the 2 million you stole? I kept my voice steady. Or the other families you destroyed? His expression hardened. Still bitter, Fiona? After all these years? Not bitter. I met his gaze. Just patient. Understanding dawned in his eyes. He glanced around the restaurant, probably noting the exits. You knew I'd be here. This restaurant's new owner is an interesting woman. I smiled. Lily sends her regards. Jason's charm cracked. You've been tracking me. For 20 years. Oliver's voice was cold. Every shell company, every false identity. Did you really think Mom would just give up? Henry Carter's been teaching him well, I added. He has quite a talent for financial forensics. Jason stood abruptly, but 2 men in suits appeared at his shoulders. Sir, one said quietly, please come with us. You can't prove anything. Jason's voice shook slightly. It's been too long. The statute of limitations doesn't apply to ongoing fraud. Oliver stood, and I saw Jason register how tall his son had grown, how confident he was. Which you've been committing across 3 continents. Did you think Dubai would protect you forever? This is what you taught him? Jason spat at me. To betray his own father? No. I stood too, feeling stronger than I had in years. I taught him about justice. About consequences. About being a man who keeps his promises. Mom taught me everything you didn't. Oliver's words cut like knives. Including how to wait for the right moment. The agents led Jason away, his protests fading into the murmur of the restaurant. I sank back into my chair, 20 years of tension draining away. Are you okay? Oliver touched my hand. I thought I'd feel different. I watched through the window as they put Jason in a car. More satisfied, maybe. Or vindicated. What do you feel? Tired. I turned back to my son, my brilliant, compassionate son who'd grown up without a father but never without love. And a little sad. For him, mostly. He never knew what he gave up. His choice. Oliver squeezed my hand. Not yours. My phone buzzed, a message from Henry. More of Jason's victims were coming forward, encouraged by his arrest. The house of cards was finally falling. Happy birthday, sweetheart. I managed a smile. I'm sorry it turned out like this. Don't be. Oliver's expression was serious. This was the best gift you could have given me. Not revenge, justice. For all of us. I watched my son, so different from his father, so much more than I'd ever dreamed possible, and felt the weight of 2 decades begin to lift. Jason was finally facing consequences, but that wasn't what mattered most. What mattered was sitting across from me, strong and whole despite everything. The game was ending, but something else was beginning. Something that felt a lot like freedom. Let's order dessert, I said. We have a lot to celebrate. The prison visiting room smelled of disinfectant and desperation. Jason sat across from me, his orange jumpsuit a jarring contrast to the designer suits he'd once worn. 3 weeks in custody had stripped away his polish, leaving something raw and unfamiliar beneath. You're my last hope, Fiona. His voice cracked. They're talking 20 years. 20 years of my life, gone. Like the 20 years you stole from others? I kept my voice neutral, watching his hands fidget on the table. I can make it right. He leaned forward, that old charm struggling to surface. I know where the money is. All of it. Help me make a deal, and everyone gets paid back. Everyone except Oliver. He flinched. I never meant. To get caught? I finished. Or to have your son help bring you down. He's my son too. Anger flashed across his face. You turned him against me. No, Jason. You did that yourself. I pulled out a folder, copies of documents Lily had gathered over years. Just like you did with every other family you destroyed. His eyes fixed on the folder. Lily gave you those? She's been collecting evidence since before your wedding. Smart woman. I smiled slightly. She learned from your previous wives. Previous, understanding dawned in his eyes. Sarah Chen. The prosecutor. Your second wife. Though you never actually divorced her before marrying Lily, did you? I laid out photos, Jason with different women, different names. Different lives. Henry helped us find them all. 7 marriages, Jason. 7 families. It wasn't personal. Sweat beaded on his forehead. It was business. Investment opportunities. Tell that to the children. I pushed forward another photo, a group shot of kids ranging from teenagers to toddlers. Your children, Jason. All of them growing up without a father. He shoved back from the table. What do you want from me? Nothing. The word felt like freedom. I'm here because you asked to see me. Because you thought you could manipulate me one last time. Then why come? His mask cracked completely, showing genuine confusion. To show you what you threw away. I stood, gathering the photos. Oliver graduates law school next month. Top of his class. He's already been offered a position with the Financial Crimes Unit. Following in Henry's footsteps. Jason sneered. Playing hero? Being the man you never were. I met his gaze. The other kids? They're thriving too. Sarah's daughter is a doctor. Amanda's twins just started college. They all grew up strong, Jason. Not because of you, but because of the mothers who loved them enough to stay. Is that supposed to make me feel guilty? No. I headed for the door, then paused. It's supposed to make you understand what real wealth is. And why you'll always be poor. Fiona. His voice stopped me. I did love you. In the beginning. I turned back one last time. No, Jason. You loved what I could give you. There's a difference. What happens now? Now? I thought of Oliver, of the family we'd built without Jason. Now you face justice. Not just legal justice, but the kind that comes from knowing your son chose to be everything you're not. He'll regret it. Jason's final attempt at control. One day, he'll understand why I did what I did. No. I smiled, feeling decades of weight lift from my shoulders. He already understands. That's why he helped stop you. As I left the prison, my phone buzzed. A message from Oliver: Mom, dinner at Grandma and Grandpa's tonight. Henry and Lily are coming too. Family meeting about the foundation. The foundation, Oliver's idea to help families affected by financial fraud. Born from our pain, but growing into something beautiful. Something healing. I texted back, on my way. Love you. The game was truly over now. Jason would spend years in prison, but we'd spend them building something he could never understand, a legacy of justice, compassion, and unbreakable family bonds. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well, loving deeply, and letting go of the ghosts that once haunted us. I got in my car and headed home, toward the family that had chosen to stay, to fight, to love. Toward the future we'd built from the ashes of Jason's betrayal. And I didn't look back once. My parents' backyard glowed with string lights, the summer evening perfect for celebrating Oliver's law school graduation. The faces around the table had changed over the years. Henry's hair had gone completely white, Lily had found peace in her new life. And my parents moved a bit slower, but the love remained constant. Oliver stood at the head of the table, champagne glass in hand. The Blake Carter Foundation helped its 100th family this week. Applause rippled through our gathering. I watched my son, so tall, so sure of himself, and saw echoes of the baby I'd once promised to protect. But that's not why I called everyone together tonight. He reached into his pocket, producing an envelope. This came from the prison today. The air stilled. Henry leaned forward. Jason? He's dying. Oliver's voice stayed steady. Cancer. He wants to make amends, tell the truth about everything. After all this time? Lily's hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. He claims he has records of other victims we never found. Oliver met my eyes. He'll only talk to me. The old anger stirred, but it felt distant now, like thunder from a storm that had long passed. What are you thinking? I'm thinking about that first family we helped. Oliver sat beside me. Remember? The mother with 3 kids, living in her car after her husband emptied their accounts? I nodded. How could I forget? She'd reminded me so much of myself. We gave her justice, but more importantly, we gave her hope. He spread the foundation's latest reports across the table. Every person we've helped is another chain broken, another cycle ended. And now Jason wants to help break more chains? Henry's skepticism was clear. I don't think he wants to help anyone. Oliver's smile held a wisdom beyond his years. I think he wants to die feeling less guilty. But his motives don't matter, the truth does. My mother reached across the table, squeezing my hand. What do you think, sweetheart? I looked around at my family, not bound by blood or law, but by choice and love. At Henry, who'd taught Oliver to fight injustice with intelligence rather than anger. At Lily, who'd turned her pain into purpose. At my parents, whose unwavering support had given me strength when I had none. I think, I said slowly, that revenge was never the point. Justice was never about punishing Jason, it was about helping others heal. Oliver nodded. That's why I'm going to see him. Not for him, but for the families who still need answers. We'll go with you, Henry said, and Lily nodded in agreement. No. Oliver's voice was gentle but firm. I need to do this alone. Mom taught me that strength isn't about carrying burdens alone, but sometimes we have to face our ghosts by ourselves. I touched the empty chair beside me, the one we'd started leaving empty at family gatherings, not for Jason, but as a reminder of why we did this work. Your father gave us an unexpected gift, Oliver. He showed us what family isn't, so we could build what it should be. To family, my father raised his glass, in all its forms. As glasses clinked and conversation resumed, Oliver pulled me aside. Are you really okay with this, Mom? I looked at my son, this remarkable man who'd taken our pain and transformed it into purpose. I'm more than okay. I'm proud. Not because you're facing Jason, but because you're doing it for the right reasons. I learned from the best. He hugged me, and for a moment I felt the echo of that tiny baby I'd once promised to protect. The string lights swayed in the evening breeze, casting shifting shadows across our gathering. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new stories of betrayal to unravel, new families to help. But tonight, in this garden filled with love and laughter, I finally understood, sometimes the greatest victory isn't in winning the game, but in changing its rules entirely. And we had done exactly that.